Hi, how are you? Daniel. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Hello again.
Hello again. Hi.
Hi there.
Daniel, nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Hello there.
Nice to meet you.
Not to intimidate you, but almost the figure. Cards for you to go.
Hi, Larry Gross.
Very nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Author of our case, and we have prepared for you a list of figures. Will. All right. And sorry about this.
That's okay. Thank you very much.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you. Very nice to meet you, Will. Very nice to meet you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having us here today. We are from the University of Maryland Robert H. Smith School of Business, and we're here to discuss our solution for AEW intermodal. Just a quick introduction. My name is Daniel. I am a senior at Smith School, double majoring in business management, focused on entrepreneurship, and supply chain management.
And my name is Lynette. I'm a junior supply chain management and marketing major with a minor in sustainability.
I'm Anjali. I'm a senior supply chain management and information systems major with a minor in statistics.
My name is William. I am a junior supply chain information systems double major with a minor in business analytics.
So we're obviously presented with the problem, as you guys are well versed in the case. Basically, the main points we want to go over about the geographic restrictions, about Canyon City, that they are a fast-growing market. The problem is that they're growing too quickly, so they're suffering from congestion. And the big deal about Plainview is they're a major manufacturing and distribution hub, and a large portion of their products are being shipped from Plainview to Canyon City. These are the overall subjects where we're going to go over: optimal line haul rates, migrating line haul rates, and the additional questions we were presented. And this is just a general breakdown of our data, our analysis, and the overall conclusion that we're going to come to. These are the cost assumptions that were presented in the case, all pretty standard. You guys have read through them. The only point we want to bring up is that the locomotive capacity. In the case, it was stated that the locomotive capacity is 2,900 tons, while in the Excel document, it was stated that it's 2,200 tons. So with the data we were presented, we went with 2,900 tons, so we just went based off that. A big component of our solution is incorporating double stack train cars for two major reasons. One of them is the cost reduction. To be able to pull twice the amount of product, the same amount of locomotive power, creates an obvious efficiency that leads to greater profits. And the second part would be the safer transport because of the well cars. It creates a lower center of gravity, which we believe to be safer when transporting through traversed tracks. Now to talk about the market share assumptions, I'm going to pass off to Lynette.
So some market share assumptions we're going to make is that the base line haul rate that we set affects the conversion potential, and in turn that conversion potential affects our market share in each region. And that market share in each region affects the total tons shipped per trip, and then the total tons shipped per trip affects our contribution margins as well. So our goal was to maximize our contribution margins. In order to do this, we decided to use double stack cars that send the same amount of tonnage from Plainview to Canyon City and back the other way. So we found that at a rate of $779 from Plainview to Canyon City, and then $177 baseline rate from Canyon City to Plainview, it gives us a maximum contribution of $7.3 million. And to note, our total tonnage is around 2,500 tons. We found that if we went above 2,500 tons, it would actually increase our costs past what our revenue was. So our revenue per load is $779 and $177 for both ways. And then the contribution per load is $450 and negative $151. And we'd like to note that negative $151 is actually the best option, and we'll talk about it later in the presentation. And with these numbers, it gives us an annual revenue of $23.5 million roughly, and an annual contribution of $7.3 million with a gross margin of 31.3%.
So we want to go over the value proposition that we give to our customers and why they would want to use our services. The obvious most major factor would be the cost savings, about 43% cost savings transporting product from Plainview to Canyon City, and then about 47% the other way around. The second major point is risk mitigations. As you guys are professionals in the industry, you know that customers and businesses are looking to mitigate their risk. So using truck transportation, there's about 25 hours that trucks are either on the road or the required stops, where anything can happen. Just a quick real life example, I worked for a company over the summer where we were supposed to have a truck waiting for us one morning by 7 a.m. The driver was hit with a bunch of different obstacles that didn't end up coming until 2 days later, which cost the business I worked for thousands of dollars, not just alone in labor, and also plans for the business were disrupted. So that's a huge problem for the customer. But with our solution using training, there's only an hour and a half that the the product will be on the highway. So we realized that would be safer with our proposal. And as stated in the case, there's a 5% adjustment for load capacity, which it takes into account possible things that can happen outside the control of the customer that they could be faced with. So if something comes up where they just missed shipment, we've already accounted for that in our pricing model.
So a way we can take this a step further is to make specific market rate adjustments. So Atlantic and Western currently captures 100% of the market for routes that have 54% more in savings. So what we can do is increase the rates for those routes that have above 54% in savings and have them the baseline of 54%, and we could still maintain 100% market share in those regions. And this also generates additional contribution. So as an example, we're going to look at Plainview to Canyon City intermodal savings. So all the highlighted regions are places that have 54% or more in savings, and in turn they also have 100% market share. So what we did was we found the maximum rate for 54% savings from the trucking rates in those highlighted regions, and then took the difference and multiplied it by the annual loads, because we're assuming we're having 100% of that market. And by doing that, we have an additional revenue of about $1 million, an annual revenue of $24.5 million, an annual contribution of $8.3 roughly million, and then 33.86% as our gross margin. And this increases our total contribution by 12.8%.
So going back to the value customer proposition, two of the three main factors stay the same with a slight adjustment in the cost savings. There's a slight loss in cost savings from Plainview, Canyon City, and about a 5% loss in cost savings from Canyon City to Plainview with our new pricing. Although 5% seems like a lot, you're still saving 42.5%, which we believe customers will see great value in. I'm going to pass it off to Anjali, who's going to talk about, Anjali, who's going to talk about the vibranium line haul.
Thank you. So we were asked to calculate the optimal line haul rates to transport vibranium from Canyon City to Plainview. So 30 loads of vibranium are produced each day, which translates to 10,950 loads per year, 186,150 tons per year, which is 716 tons per train, taking into account the 260 trains per year. A&W currently ships 2,493 tons per train from Canyon City to Plainview, leaving A&W with an unused capacity of about 400 tons per train with a 2,900 ton maximum. So here's a sample schedule of vibranium production and shipment. 30 loads are produced each day starting on Saturday. No loads are shipped out on Saturday and Sunday as no trains depart on those days, which leaves 42 loads to be shipped out each day, Monday through Friday. So we have two options for calculating the optimal line haul rates. We can keep the line haul rates the same as what we calculated previously and bid for only a percentage of the vibranium line haul service. We would only be able to accept 18 out of the 42 loads each day to bring our total tons as close as possible to 2,900. We would still benefit from increased utilization from Canyon City to Plainview by increasing our annual volume by about 5,000 loads in that direction. Our second option is to increase line haul rates from Canyon City to Plainview and bid for all of the vibranium line haul service. By increasing rates, we would decrease our market share in that direction, which would free up capacity for the vibranium. And in turn, we would decrease rates in the other direction, from Plainview to Canyon City. And this is to increase our market share to be able to run the same number of double stack cars both ways. And this would increase our annual volume by about 4,000 loads each way. Here's a profit and loss statement for option 1. We increased the number of double stack cars per train from 16 to 19. And we're keeping the total loads per train the same from Plainview to Canyon City while increasing it to 113 from Canyon City to Plainview. As you can see, the revenue per load is the same as we are keeping the rates the same, 779 and 177. And our annual contribution is increased to about $7.5 million. With option 2, we still have 19 double stack cars, but we have increased the total loads both ways to 110. And we have decreased the rate from Plainview to Canyon City to $712 and increased the rate from Canyon City to Plainview to $240. And this brings our annual contribution to about $9.4 million. So because of this huge increase, we decided to recommend option 2 for A&W. And the customer value proposition for option 2 is based on the cost savings. Even though there is an increased rate from Canyon City to Plainview, the customer still experiences a 33.3% savings versus trucking. And the customer experiences about a 50% savings versus trucking in the other direction, which is 8.6% savings versus the original optimal line haul rate, since in that direction the rate was decreased. Because of Vibranium's regular production schedule, A&W is able to schedule regular and reliable shipments. Additionally, trucks have highway weight restrictions, and as Vibranium is assumed to be a heavy metal, it would be better suited to shipment by rail. I will pass it off to Will to talk about additional considerations.
Thank you very much, Anjali. So let's get down to the basics. In terms of operational logistics, so A&W by our calculations would have to go run a train 260 times per year, but luckily in a calendar year, excluding weekends, we actually have 261 days. So A&W would be running one train every single day with 1 day off. And in addition, implementation and maintenance requirements would be minimal, as A&W would simply have to invest more into their operational line haul fleets with rotational maintenance. Here is actually a sample train schedule of what we plan for A&W. As you can see by this, trains A and C will rotate every other week, and they will swap off their routes. Meanwhile, B and D will rotate among themselves. Every train spends at least 1 day in the week in the yard, which allows for maintenance options as well as the fact that, as you can see indicated by the green and the orange, every time it is green, it is a train leaving from Canyon City. Every time it is orange, it is a train leaving from Plainview. So you have a shipment every single day going out consistently, except on the weekends, which the train is not running. So an additional question we were asked to go consider is that should every load be profitable? And our answer is no, because in our analysis, we actually find that we have a loss on the return trip from Canyon City to Plainview of $151. However, this is an acceptable loss because the loss is unavoidable in either direction. So my next slide, which will show the fact that our current solution, we have a loss of 151. However, if we were to go run one-way full loads trying to maximize profit in that direction, we actually end up with a net revenue loss of 466 per load. So obviously, our solution is better. In terms of truck competition, we actually believe that trucks will not be able to go compete with our intermodal service based on our 4 assumptions. 1, that there is current fuel trends showing an increasing price. Second, that Canyon City is growing and already suffers from congestion, as well as only having limited access to a 4-lane highway. Third, the sustainability, as well as our own company goodwill with our retailers. And 4, service faults on the highway, which Daniel also mentioned before about being delays or anything that could go on. Even if truckers could overcome all these challenges, they would still have to go beat our cost savings that we offer as an intermodal shipping service, and they would have to offer mixed services and costs in order to be able to compete successfully. These are 2 charts. The first one taken from the U.S. Energy Information Association, the second one taken from Statista. This one's talking about the U.S. Fuel rates rising, as you can see from compared to the past year, as well as that one talking about global, because we are unsure where Canyon City is exactly located. However, as you can see, there is a rising trend in fuel prices, and as trucking does have a roughly a 20% operational cost in fuel, having this increased fuel price will obviously be a major threat to lowering trucking rates, meaning that they won't be able to compete with intermodal even further. Next, we were also asked what would happen if A&W considered about removing the middleman and selling directly to the beneficial cargo owner. Well, we came up with a couple pros and cons for this situation. The pros that we would be able to cut out the retailer margin, which was 12% as stated in the Excel, as well as we would have a better relationship with our beneficial cargo owner. However, our cons is that basically, because our retailer currently for A&W consolidates all the shipments, because it does all the marketing as well as arranging all the trays for all of their own customers, A&W would basically have to set up an entire new logistical division for the truck logistics, marketing, sales, as well as customer service, which could be a huge cost for A&W. And so, so we do not advise against this. Next, I'll pass this off to Daniel for our finale.
So before I summarize what we just went over with our optimal solution, in our research and working on this project, we came up with a few alternative solutions that we just didn't think were feasible, but we thought we'd like to discuss those with you today. One of them would be to partner with trucking companies. While we did heavily consider this, we thought that it wouldn't be feasible for us to partner with our direct competition, and we felt like trucking companies would have the same feeling towards us. The second one being using single stack cars as opposed to double stack. As we went over earlier in the presentation, obviously it's financially more viable to use double stack cars. So going back to what our optimal solution is, we believe it's a combination of two different factors. Assuming we are in a price conversion market where the primary concern is strictly price, we think that the most profitable solution for A&W is to lease 4 train cars with 16 double stack cars each, with equal loads going both ways, and to increase prices in markets where we already capture 100% of the market share. As Lynette went over before, that equals a 12.8% profit increase just on that factor alone. But combining both major points, we found a 90.5% increase in overall profits compared to the current market plan, and that's what we recommend A&W do. Thank you so much for listening to us today. We welcome any and all questions.
So help me understand something regarding your sort of dissecting the market and increasing rates selectively on some of the locations but not others. Now, the normal posture of A&W is that they're charging to move a container from terminal A to terminal B, right? So how does what you're describing get accomplished in the rate? You go to the intermodal marketing company and you say, if it comes from here, the rate is this, and if it comes from here, the rate is something different. How does that happen? The goal is noble, but I don't know. I don't understand how you accomplish it in the pricing structure.
Well, one point is that the case stated that for every 2% savings, there would be, or every 5% savings, there would be 2% conversion. So we're taking that as the customer's willingness to pay, and we're assuming that they will accept that price. That's their willingness to pay.
Let me hold my question a little bit. You have a middleman standing between A&W and the customer, and that's who A&W's customer is, right? Because they're the ones that are paying the rate to go from terminal to terminal, and then they go out and sell to the ultimate BCO, right? So how do we get them to price differently and pass that back through to us at A&W? That's my question. I understand that from the BCO standpoint, what you're saying is absolutely correct. The question is who captures that? That's how do you, in other words, you go to your IMC, your customer, the railroad's customer, and you say to them, well, if the load is coming from here, we're going to charge you X, and if the load's coming from here, we're going to charge you Y. They don't normally tell us where the load's coming to and going from, because we're just a wholesaler. We just move it from terminal to terminal. So that's my question with that. I understand the motivation there, but it's not clear to me how how you get to where you want to go with that as a wholesaler.
I think I can go talk about that. So as I mentioned when we were discussing if they should go sell directly to the beneficial cargo owner, so we were actually looking to go arrange some sort of arrangement with our own customers as well. As you can see, like as you just pointed out, you are correct that we would not ourselves be able to go capture most of that profit, as the middleman would be the one who actually knows where that package is going to package in another city. So, however, if we produce something like this and we can go partner with our customers and we can show them, here are exactly where you would like to go do most of your cost maximization or our pricing maximization points on. And this is why, because we already capture 100% of the market in these situations. Then our customer can look at that and they can go like, okay, so I now know how to go charge my customers like that. And of course, then we would then negotiate about doing some sort of profit split in that, like in that sort of scenario, because we are not only helping them with our data, they are also going to be helping us by getting and making sure that, because as you said, they know where that package is going. And we would arrange some sort of profit split, probably 70-30, unfortunately, because they would take a lot of it. But you know, that's entirely acceptable because that 30% is of $1 million, and you know, $300,000 increase, that's still profit, more profit to us.
Okay.
So yeah.
Quick question, did you clarify with Larry about double stack height clearance? He's not, you know, just in the US, not all locations can run double stack. There's locations in CSX in Baltimore where they have to run single stack and that hurts their efficiencies. Did you clarify that going into your assumption?
We did not clarify that, no.
No, I think the case assumed that they have the clearance.
Okay.
So that's the.
There's nothing that said
That's it, right.
opposed to it, so we kind of just went based off that assumption.
I have two questions. One, I didn't see where I'm assuming it's all built into your total cost on any of the drayage charges.
Yes,
from
so
different locations.
the drayage charges are included in the package.
I didn't see it separate, so it's just assumed it's.
Yeah, it's already factored into there.
Okay.
We didn't print out
The other question was, you said you assumed 100% market share. Do you think that's really possible? I mean, even if the rate's that much lower, you're going to capture 100%? No one's going to use a truck or anything? Does that even seem logical?
Again, this is assuming that we are in a price conversion market where price is the sole determinant for basically what consumers will purchase. Obviously, in a real world situation where we're talking about marketing strategies, where truckers also have goodwill with their own customers, right? That is obviously unfeasible. However, assuming that we're in a price conversion market as given in the case, this is what we came up with. If we were to go account for that, we actually have that within our 5% intermodal as well to go account for the fact that there will be discrepancies. We will obviously not capture the entire market, but by doing this, we capture most of the markets. And numerically, we will have most of it.
And just as a note, the savings to market share ratios are on page 20, I believe, of the
19.
package. 19.
You were close.
Yes.
On the vibranium question, so you concluded that for profit maximization, you'd essentially be in a mode of substituting the vibranium loads for something. Something's going to have to come off the train. Yeah. So commercially, how do you approach that? And what implications, longer term, might you want to try to mitigate when you've made a decision that some of your customers, maybe long-standing customers, who've been faithful and around for many years, are going to have to get booted off the train?
Right, so we did, that's why we considered option one. At first, we were thinking, you know, it's not fair to just increase our rates just for this new vibranium line haul service. But we feel that the cost savings compared to trucking even with the increased rates are still a huge benefit for consumers. And there may be some way we could work with them to sort of alleviate their transition to trucking. Probably our more long-standing customers wouldn't be open to this option, so we definitely have to do research to determine who would be more likely to take this option.
And for our customers who are still willing to pay more after we add tonnage on, in a real-life context, we could work with them to maybe add additional locomotives onto the train in order to accommodate for them still wanting to work with us instead of switching back over to trucking.
Well, you talked about I think you talked about the train schedules,
Yes, I did.
right? Can you, what I thought I heard you say is you're gonna have a train running every day,
Yes.
right? Every weekday,
Mhm.
right? Is that in one direction or is that in both directions you have a train?
So every green, as you can see, is for every single day, and then orange, as you can see, is also for every day. So yes, it is in both directions. We have one leaving from Canyon City every day, we have one leaving from Plainview every day.
Okay.
So yeah. Maybe I should have kept this up a little bit, but yeah.
If you follow, like Monday, there's one lead from Canyon City every night, Tuesday as well, Wednesday, Thursday,
Mhm.
Friday.
And trains A and C will alternate routes, or like they will swap routes every week, as you can see, because in train.
When you talk about the swapping the routes, what is, you talking about this, that train is just going in another direction?
So, yeah, essentially. So what happens is that train A, because there is a day delay where because it arrives at Plainview the morning of the next day. So what happens is that this actually leaves the train at Plainview, and then meanwhile the train that's coming back from Plainview will actually end up in Canyon City. So then the Canyon City route will then be taken by the Plainview train, and then et cetera. And then that will flip every week.
Every 2 weeks, you get a full and complete, and it starts over.
Precisely,
So
precisely.
there's 2 sets that are running in these 2-week cycles.
Right.
And the objective here is just to give you some maintenance time?
Yeah, essentially. Because as you can see, they will also be in the yard for at least one day of every week.
That was keeping in the yard for maintenance was a factor that we definitely considered as one of our primary factors. However, we wanted to emphasize the point and make sure that we can get equal loads out every single day of the week from each city.
And is the departure time every day of the week the same in each location? So
Yes.
you've kept the departure time itself?
Mhm. That's the morning and night.
Mhm. Very
Any
good.
further questions?
So we touched on it over here just a little bit. So if we go after 100% of the vote, by burning them, and you push customers out, was there any discussion about not being diverse enough if something happened, or the customer then, the PCO leverages their position to control rates?
That is definitely a consideration. We currently don't know how diverse our market is based on the case, but that is something we've considered. And if we wanted to be more diverse, then option 1 is the better choice. If we look through those percentages and decided that we need to keep all our current customers.
We definitely leave it so that we aren't strictly relying on a single customer or even just a very small group of customers in case something else comes up where they leave our services, we're not left in the dust. We will have a diverse enough portfolio. However, we are obviously looking for the profit optimization.
You, go ahead.
Just one other point too, just, you made a point in there about service that would be more reliable, less opportunity for problems such as when you said when the truck was late for 2 days or so, but it works in all industries that there's delays. And right now, railroads are experiencing some real problems.
Yeah, like we understand that there was a single line. So we accounted for delays where one train will have to pull over to allow another train to come back. We took that into consideration, however, based on the schedule given in the case. The trains are scheduled to arrive at 3 a.m. every morning, but we think that left optimal time to take that into account. We just felt like with the trucking, there are factors, more unforeseen factors rather than ones that are predictable, such as breakdowns, major accidents, and so forth. That we believe that train would be needed.
In this example, you have a balance. So you have the same number of cars going both directions. So
Yes.
you have a lot less likelihood of a problem.
Yeah.
But in the real world, it's not balanced. So what happens is a number of cars may move further out and they don't get the replenishment of the same number of cars coming back. So even though you've planned on having the same number of cars in both directions, it doesn't always work that way, depending on how the market is.
And 3 to 4% of your rail cars are bad ordered anyway, they're in a bad mechanical state in no shape.
When you look at the vibranium question, you're treating, I infer, you're treating the train as sort of a fixed capacity, X capacity, right?
Correct.
Now that came from the capacity of one locomotive, right? You did have the option to add another locomotive and expand the train, but you decided not to do that. So can you talk, which would give you sort of another, sort of have your cake and eat it option, but you felt the economics of that didn't work?
Yeah, that's basically it. It was extremely cost prohibitive, the cost of another locomotive. That's really it.
Yeah, basically what would happen is that we'd have to raise rates even more to account for the fact that every locomotive we add would add another 25 cents per mile as we continue, which would actually increase the rates for all of our other customers as well. And considering that we as the intermodal company, we keep our customers first and foremost in our minds, we don't want to go have to raise the rates for everyone just because we also want to accommodate more of our trains.
But if you increase the size of the train, you add the locomotive, at some point you have enough additional containers on the train to amortize that cost. I don't happen to know offhand what that number was, but at some point it makes sense to add that locomotive.
Right, and as a future recommendation, we actually say as they increase their service, we hope, that they can get enough customers to go add another locomotive. And this vibranium is like it's a great opportunity for A&W to go consider increasing their market share in a couple of regions and having the capacity to add another locomotive, add more loads, and of course make more profit.
Thank you.
That's time.
Thank you very much.
Good job, very good job.
Really good presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Tough questions for you, but you guys